Hello, ladies and gentlemen. In this very special episode, we will be talking about how you can step into the version that you prefer to live. There are aspects of you that are still in the three-dimensional basic version, kind of like mainstream type beat, like WAP type beat, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
stop being a normie. Yeah, basically, yeah.
So here we're going to be talking about what do you need to be doing? How do you need to be thinking in order to actually be the
Shift your
version,
behavior. Yeah.
yeah, change your behavior to be the person that you want to be.
Mm. Embody your most authentic self. You guys are gonna enjoy this episode. Oh, I'm already excited, bro. This episode is gonna be fire.
Let's get started.
Welcome to the Better Man Podcast with Ivan and Suman.
Man, I got a quick announcement, guys. I got a song coming out. It's called 5D Anthem. It was very much a key style. Like key style is basically like a freestyle, but you write it down, and then it just ended up becoming a song. And it happened very fluidly because this guy, this producer, music producer, shot me a message and he's like, hey, do you want this option on my beat? I want more um, eyes on my music, and I like what you're doing. And so I was just like, yeah, this is a call to action. I haven't recorded music in a month or so. And so I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so,
That's what's up.
yeah. Yeah, man.
That's what's
You gotta
up.
go for those. You gotta get this is up.
You gotta
You gotta
step.
go for those
You gotta
moments.
step into
Yeah.
your joy. Yeah, you have to step into the things that you really like and really enjoy. You know,
Yeah.
something that I've done before, and I'm reading Levels of Energy again because I believe I just pick like a handful of books and read them over and over again,
Yeah.
and
For real.
for real.
Especially if you like, I read books that I want to be like the people, the authors who are writing them, and so if you yeah, like if you
Mm,
like Frederick Dodson, you should watch him on interviews. He's a pretty cool guy, actually.
he's really
Because
chill. He's really chill.
he's chill. He's like
You
laid
wouldn't
back. Yeah.
expect it though. I didn't expect him to be like the way that he is.
Yeah. Yeah, true. I expected him to be kind of like a Carl Jung type of character, you know what I mean? Or something like that.
Or like
Like
Alan
kind of
Watts type
abstract.
beat.
Yeah, something like that, An Alan Watts type beat. There's actually is an Alan Watts type beat, by the way. There's something called Meaning Wave. Have you heard of this? And my light keeps going on and off. I keep getting enlightened and then into the darkness again.
So basically, what I was reading was he said like throw away your to-do list,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he said, forget about all that stuff, man. Forget about don't have a diary, don't journal, right? He said this stuff is like so he said do the intentions as well. Like writing down intentions every day is like aligning your boat in the direction of where you're trying to reach, right?
Mm.
But he said that no matter what, like he said, you're on life, right? And life is the stream of life, right? So you're on a boat, and on this boat, you're given paddles. He calls them oars, right? And if you take your paddles and still facing the stream, you paddle faster to get there faster. You're still gonna get no matter what, you're still gonna get to the destination that you were going to get to, even if you paddled faster. Even if you like try to slow down, you're still gonna get to
Yeah.
the same destination.
Yeah, I love that. I think one of the things he said in an interview, which is so powerful, and I want to talk about this as well, because a lot of people mention conventional wisdom, but they don't like sort of back it up by what they mean or whatever. He was talking about success being in your heart already. like feeling success not as this thing to get to, but like a frequency and
Mm,
just something to live from, like from your heart. And I love that analogy because it's like we always chase success, or we always think of, oh, my past success, right? But we never really just truly embody and feel it. Like, what does it feel like to be
yeah,
successful, right? And that,
yeah, dude. So like last night, I was like, "Fuck, I want to fuck right now," you know. and
yeah,
and I was like, "Wait, no, I don't want to fuck. I just want the feeling of fucking."
I just want to be successful. You know that
So
song?
yeah,
Yeah. The
except I
feeling
don't.
of it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I just
Yeah, I
want
know what you
the
mean.
feeling, right? And essentially, we have to acknowledge that we
Mm.
just want the feeling. We're aiming for a feeling, right? So
Yeah.
instead, I found the feeling within, right? I connected to my sacral chakra and how like
Whoa.
sensitive it is. You know, you can feel like this stream of like electricity moving through you, right? And it feels
Mm.
very nice.
Yeah.
Like it feels very pleasurable, you know?
Does for sure.
And then I fell asleep. I don't even remember falling asleep. I remember waking up and being like, "Oh, I'm naked."
Yeah, that's funny. I've been doing this thing called HoloSync.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like an app on the phone where it's like binaural um, meditation for like 30 minutes.
Oh, I
And
think I've heard of them. I think I did the free trial. They're good. They're really good.
yeah, they're good. I'm doing the one for weight loss. It's really good, actually. It's very powerful. And I just sort of drift away into this different place whenever I do it. So I'm really enjoying that. But yeah, I wanted to talk today a little bit about like this whole basic thing, like this trend of like, people just going by whatever is the norm, normies, we could call them.
Mm.
um, or just really basic people, just going by mainstream culture and just following the pack in a sense. I've noticed it on dating profiles. I like movies, I like sleep, I'm a foodie. Like, who isn't? You know what I mean? Like, who doesn't like food? Like, come on now, I guess certain people
I
don't
don't like
like
food. I only
anorexic, but
consume it as fuel for my body.
yeah.
Eh. Yeah, basic people, I don't like you, all right? But I like you anyway. I don't like you, but I love you, okay? You know, just so you know. Um, so that I've been learning, you know, because there's like a lot of sometimes like let's just say I come around my family, right? And their friends. My family and their friends. They're my friends too, you know, but they're more their friends than they are my friends.
Mm.
And no disrespect to any of them and the path and the life that they've lived, right?
Mm.
But I am certainly in a very different I stand in a different light.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, I get what you mean.
So
Yeah.
sometimes communicating, right, with other people who don't think well how I think. Like let's just say before my sister started her spiritual journey this year, we were at the dinner table or whatever, or
Mm.
around the family friends, and she said something, and then I said something back, you know, like how, and then she kind of got annoyed, and she was basically telling me like, why do you always talk like that? Why do you always have to talk about these things? Why do you always have to be like spiritual? Why do you always have to be um like about the mind? And I'm like, that's all I think about. That's all I
Yeah.
think about. Like, what else is there to think about? Like, I'm discover the fucking universe. Like, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of other things to think about for sure, but that's just where
Yeah,
I'm
man.
at, you know. And learning to communicate to other people that are not don't necessarily study the same people that you do in a
Yeah.
way that opens up their eyes, right? Not necessarily telling them what to think, rather using words that remove illusion.
Mm.
Baller.
Yeah. Very true. Yeah, and I think about this idea, a lot of conventional wisdom is like love yourself. It's very true. You got to love yourself, you know? But it's that surface level of just like, yeah, but how do I do that? Right? It's like going deeper and going through a process and like, getting rid of the trauma and like, all that stuff is just like, okay, maybe I don't consider that, but these simple like, be yourself, right? just just trust God. It's like very blanket statements, but it's like it's true. It's true. They're cliches for a
Mm-hmm.
reason,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's just people don't want to go deeper. It's just all right.
I
Let's
think
just go
that's
with
what it
this truth.
is, I think that's what it is. It's
Yeah,
like it's like you have to contemplate it over and over and over again to really understand what the fuck it
yeah,
actually means. Like I think what
totally.
differentiates real philosophers from fake philosophers is the ability to find like a book's worth of knowledge in one sentence.
Mm, very true. Yeah,
That's fucking cool,
yeah.
right?
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, yeah. I like that.
Like
Yeah,
kind of like
that's
what you
that's
said, like what
basically
you said,
it.
self-love, right? Like what are some ways that people typically think of like themselves as self-love? Conventional like
Mm.
wise 3D levels of self-wise of
3D levels of
of
self.
self-love, I mean.
Oh man, this one which I don't like is just like eating a bunch of junk food. Like that's self-love to certain people.
Self-love.
Self-love, donuts, like yeah.
I was having a hard day, so I'm gonna treat myself.
Yeah, exactly.
And they go and they buy something, right? To
Yeah, go
feel
and buy
better.
something.
To realize that
Yeah.
they're buying something as an act of self-love. What does that really mean? I'm buying this so I can feel better.
Yeah.
Damn. What are some other ways? Let's roast these niggas. Ah.
I feel like it's just the whole concept of self-love, right? Like by itself, if you're saying because all we are is love, you know what I mean? And that's a very, again, it's a very spiritual statement. But
Mm-hmm.
to say that it's self-love, it's like it's sort of making it this other thing, this extra layer of like, oh, it has to be by myself. And a lot of people start to confuse it with like narcissism or something else, whereas it's not really that, right? It's just about caring about yourself and actually appreciating who you are and accepting who you are, right? And a lot of people confuse it with like getting the materialistic thing or doing and all of that is great, like it's an amplification of abundance, but if your first initial thought is like I'm using self-love to escape the present moment, it's not really self-love.
That is very true. That is very true. I think part of self-love is feeling your darker emotions as a way of fully acknowledging, fully accepting,
Yeah,
right?
feel it till you can't. Oh wait, feel it till you can't feel it anymore. No, feel it until you can heal it. Yeah.
Something like
Something
that.
like
Yeah,
that.
something like
Yeah,
that. But I think there is a danger in that aspect of repeating over and over again memories from
yeah,
the past, right? And they can
totally.
keep you in that loop, in that lower level loop, and like as we know, we're in a circle of life, so we're always moving in circles. You might as well move into a bigger circle, you know?
Yeah. And that's kind of my issue with a lot of mental health, because when you go to therapy they sort of get you to talk about the same issues again and again. They're
Yeah,
just repeating the same patterns.
yeah.
And back in the day mental health was deep, bro. They went into sacred texts. And nowadays it's just like download this app, you know talk to Alexa version of this therapist and just like Get your problems
But
solved.
by the way,
Very
I don't
quick.
know. I sort of feel like we should sort of clarify that back in the day, we're not talking about 50 years ago. We're talking about like
Yeah.
300 years ago type of thing.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
50
Not like
years
50.
ago, they would have lobotomized your ass, man. They would have fucking
Yeah,
chopped
yeah.
chopped your brain
Electric chair.
open to try to explore
Yeah.
your mind. Like, what the fuck was that about?
Hmm.
Thanks to Freud and Jungian, we don't
Yeah.
do that shit no more, man.
Mm. Yeah. And another thing that I've noticed is like this idea of common sense.
Mm.
At the most basic level, isn't common sense just like touch,
Logic,
sight,
logic, I
hearing,
think, yeah.
smell, taste? Like, isn't it
Seven
just
senses,
senses?
seven senses. Maybe.
Mhm.
It sounds like it though. I never thought about it like that, but
Seven
it sounds like.
senses. I've heard of five senses, bro. I don't know which. They're,
Oh,
you're talking about like proprioception or like
I'm talking about
like
balance. Balance is the sixth
yeah, yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Shit
No,
like that.
proprioception. That's what it's called, bro.
Oh,
Yeah, balance. And then there's like this other one. I mean, I guess we could call it the sixth sense, which is guys intuition, um,
intuition.
or like extrasensory perception. Some people call it ESP. Yeah,
It's funny though how we tend to
it's a
actually
great.
this is how people in 3D we tend to only use the five senses
Mm,
to measure our reality, right?
mm,
It's like, oh, if it's within my five senses, then that's what reality is.
right. Exactly. Yeah, and that's also the main reason. It's like I don't believe in ghosts. I've never seen them. You know, it's like okay, I guess
For real?
like you're like you haven't seen it, so seeing is believing. Well,
Oh,
sometimes
okay, okay,
believing is
okay.
seeing. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's
Okay,
backwards.
okay.
Sometimes you believe something so much, you believe in aliens, you're gonna see aliens, bro. You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
sometimes we make ourselves see things as well. It's not like only our sight that makes us,
mm-hmm,
realize that this is reality for what it is, right? Because there's so
mm-hmm,
many sound waves we can't see and all this other stuff. The quantum we can't really see, right? What's happening? So
mm-hmm.
we have some idea of it, but yeah.
Yeah, not gonna lie. At first, I thought you were telling me that you didn't believe in ghosts, and
Oh.
I was like, what? Soon don't believe in ghosts. But then you were acting like somebody who doesn't believe in ghosts.
Right, right. As playing a character. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, bro.
yeah.
Yeah, you fooled me,
Maybe I should have done
bro.
a different
You
different
fooled
voice,
me.
maybe.
Fucking actor ass.
Yeah. That's a compliment for my acting, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it should be.
But yeah, man, guys, the listeners out there, we don't want basic people, listening to this podcast. So, go where no other person has gone before and leave a mark behind you. Like we want
Mm,
the rebels, the misfits, the outcasts, the dream weavers, the creative people to really start. And they're the ones that change the world, right? They're the ones that shift the
mhm,
paradigm. Those are the true
mhm.
leaders. Like if Steve Jobs
Those.
just went along
Mhm,
with everything else that other people were doing in terms of technology, we wouldn't have this kind of technology. We just wouldn't. But he was like, nope, sorry guys, I'm gonna disagree to that. This is the way I'm doing it. I'm gonna make this thing look sleek. Right? I'm gonna do it my way. And some people, opposed to that. They're like, what the this guy's a dick, like what like you know what I mean? And that's a specific kind of energy. I think that leaders they're givers. They're very big givers, but it's this frequency of the disagreeable giver that we're attracted to, right? The director who has that vision in mind, knows it very specific. Of course, you've got to be adaptable in certain circumstances, right? But
mhm,
I know some of the greatest directors out there just they're very in their own world, right? And they want the vision exactly the way that they see it. If it doesn't go like that, sorry, like you're cut or something, it's my way or the highway, right?
mhm.
And there's something very um magnetizing about that energy too. Have you thought about this before? Like, why a lot of leaders have this kind of this frequency or this energy of like, I don't care, but at the same time I care a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I resemble with that. I resonate with that.
Yeah.
Because I had people tell me, They'd be like, Ivan, I'll be honest with you, you don't give a fuck, you know? And I'd be like,
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
head, in my head, like, I know what they're trying to say, it's a compliment, you know, but in my head, I'm thinking like, I give a lot of fucks, man. I give many.
Yeah.
But the truth is, if you've read the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, wait, let me rephrase it. It's called The Subtle Art of Not Beep, right? That's what it looks like on the
Yeah,
title.
yeah. Yeah.
um,
Asterisk, yeah, yeah.
um, you'll find out that you have a limited amount of fucks to give, right?
Yeah. You got
I
to
want to go to
choose the
Chipotle.
fucks to care about. Yeah, for sure. And it's like it's also like this idea that he had of measuring progress. I like that. Like when he's talking about metrics and how we've got to measure our progress. You know, we can't just sort of be like, all right, let's
Mm-hmm.
open it up to chance. You know, whatever happens, happen. When we start to have some kind of mental measurement or some kind of
Mm-hmm.
metric, then we start noticing it more.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We actually pay attention to it more. So yeah, I really like that from that book too.
I learned that
Um,
as well from Marshall Silver, one of his
hmm,
courses. I don't know. Do you know Marshall
yeah.
Silver?
Sounds familiar, the name. I don't
He's like a
think so.
bald guy. He's pretty bald, you know.
Huh.
He lives in Vegas.
It's like a bald guy in Vegas. Yeah,
Like half of the population. But like anyway,
yeah.
um, half of the population's in Vegas. But like no, okay. So he basically pointed out how in video games you go to an arcade, right? And there's a race, right? That tells you who, or a shooting game tells you who has the best score,
Mm,
right? You look at it, you're like, I want to beat that score, right?
mm,
So that's what we must do. We must also take note of what our wins are, right? What was your maximum accomplishment till that day, right? And
yeah.
then you are able to say, this is where I'm at. This is my max, right? This is why fitness people, they also do like a 1 rep max. What is the maximum they could do, right?
Yeah.
Because if they want to measure their strength and then they want to beat that, right? If you're not measuring it, you don't know what to beat. You're just kind of like,
Exactly. Yeah.
mm-hmm,
Yeah. I always tell myself that it's like I've got to level up. You know, I've got to be able to beat my last score in a sense. I think it's a
mm-hmm,
competitive mindset, but it's a powerful mindset that gives you a lot of drive and focus.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm. But at the same time, I think there is a paradox to this,
Totally. Yeah.
right? And it comes into the aspect of for me, I would in a way call it a bit effortless effort. You're very familiar with this.
Yeah.
And I would say that you don't have to keep track of anything, you know? You really don't. Like in a way, keeping track of anything is like having your focus on the past, right?
Mm,
So
yeah.
instead, focusing in the moment and what's the best that you can give in the moment, right?
And that's why it's a paradox, because as you're focusing in the moment, you're gonna beat your high score. You know what I mean? You're gonna. So that's the actual paradox, man. You nailed it. Yeah, for sure.
Wild. Doing some ad libs.
But yeah, I'm talking about the basic people who are sort of like game changer, music lover, truth teller, but they're not either of those things. You know what I mean? It's like you're just putting it as a status,
Mm.
and that's I don't know what.
Ooh.
I don't know why people do this. I think it's just like a feeling of um, acceptance, right? Because I see this woman, she's like truth teller, game changer, and she's posting all this basic stuff, like quotes from like Abraham Hicks. They're just so common, and like just like BLM stuff, and just like
BLM. Oh,
generic
okay.
Black Lives Matter stuff, and I'm just like, yo, like what is going this is pretty basic, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
what do you bring to the table that's a game changer? How are you a game changer,
Mm-hmm. You could also, honestly, we could apply this to interviews. I accidentally made my screen small, so I'm gonna make it big. Um,
Mm.
you could apply this to an interview, right? And I learned this yesterday
Yeah,
from watching a Dan Lok video because I've been studying Dan Lok on sales because he's really good at that stuff. And
he's
he
a
said
ninja. Yeah.
he talked about like you go to a job interview. What is the first thing they ask you? So tell me a little about yourself, right? He
Mm.
said don't tell them your whole fucking life story. Like, it's so funny because I was watching a movie and it resembled exactly this. The movie starts, right? It's with Audrey Plaza. And she's like, so when I was little, my mom died. And me and my dad, we
Yeah.
had to like live on our own. And, I always felt like, I wasn't really included in school. And, I felt like kind of like an outcast. But
Whoa, bro.
in college, I had a little bit more. So imagine you start going on like this in an interview. You're trying to get a fucking job, and this. So basically, that's what it was. That's
Bro,
what that was
I'm
so.
laughing because this actually happened to me, bro.
You did this?
Okay. No, a girl came up to me and she started. Oh, 1 second. My phone is like.
Okay, I'll talk to the folks here. So basically,
Yeah.
in the movie, like she gets to the part where she's at now. Like, she talks about her college life, and then
Yeah.
the interview is like, I was asking you about like your career, right? So she literally gave her whole fucking life story, right? Like, my fucking mom died and I was a fucking outcast type fucking beat in the
Yeah.
interview. But in a way, he asked like, tell me a little about yourself, but he didn't say like, it's like you have to learn to read between the lines, right?
Mm. Yeah, totally. Yeah, the reason I was laughing is because this girl, man, this was like in college days, and we're at a party, outdoors. It was fun, musicians playing in a band, stuff like that, grooving. She comes down and sits next to me, and she's sort of
Ooh,
like I put my arm around her, and stuff, just
e
like making the moves and stuff. And then she's like, I just want to tell you a little bit about me. This
damn,
happened, this
I had
this
herpes.
trauma happened to me, and this, my mom passed away, and I had, I recently moved out of this farm place that I was in, and she went on like her whole entire life story, bro. She's just going on like an autobiography, and I was like, all right. I need to sort of slow down and stop you right here because I can't really digest this. We're at a party, like, there's music playing, and I'm trying to focus on your story, and I wish I could give it more time, but I just can't, It's just so distracting because someone is just
Mhm.
pouring their soul out, and it's like all this stuff is happening around you. And it's just, it wasn't appropriate, man. And then later on, I see her like with one of my friends, and just like being sly with them and whatever, like flirting with them. And I was just
Mhm.
like, bro, like I'm like giving them the side, like don't go
Bro,
there. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
if you're trying to catch some fucking demons that are gonna follow
Demons.
you,
Yeah,
they're gonna follow you in the astral realm after fucking this girl. Like, definitely.
yeah,
That's a no, no. That's a no, no.
yeah. The succubi energy. Yeah,
That shit happens sometimes, man. That shit happens.
it
You gotta
does.
be careful who you fucking, like, TBH, man. You can't be raw dogging
Yeah.
everybody. You switching DNA with people when you fucking them.
What?
For real, for real. If you don't use a condom, that is. But you trade
Damn.
DNA and like they get a little bit of yours, you get a little bit of theirs.
Oh, I hadn't
And
thought about that. It's like a
I,
genetic mix. Yeah.
and it,
Whoa.
it just kind of it makes sense a lot when you study genetics. The way that
Yeah.
me and Sumed have studied it through our mentor, Araj Sapar, motherfucking D Bazaar.
Yeah. I'm actually on Lion's Den right now, man. The lessons are just waking up. What he says is awakening the beast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something is being awakened. I don't know what it is. There's just this
Mm-hmm.
different energy about me that I feel each day.
Mm-hmm.
And you see it on his Instagram videos, right? He's like, "Ah," right? He awakens something within himself
Mm-hmm.
that comes out, and it's very pure, and it's truthful, and it's a strong energy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I
For
really
sure.
respect that.
After I did his 3-day event, I started waking up at 5 a.m. Well, I didn't. The first day after I didn't, but then somehow like fucking the universe brought a fucking episode of Robin Sharma 5 a.m. Club podcast, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna listen to it, and he kind of gave a little bit of the science behind it, you know,
Mm.
and then I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do it now. So I did it, and I like it.
Yeah.
Except not today. I did not do
Yeah,
that
it's
today. The moon is the
it's
moon.
it's quite difficult, man, and it's like that dedication of that, like the whole Stoic philosophy and like what he's going for, like it's a dedication, it's a grind, it's like living like a monk. He tells people to sleep on the floor,
I do that.
take cold showers,
I do
you
that.
know,
Check.
and yeah, I've been incorporating that. I mean, my bed is kind of on the floor anyway, I guess you could say. Um, and the cold showers, that's tough as well, man. I noticed that, but nowadays I'm just more like, in the past it would have been like such a pussy about it, it would have been like put one finger in, or like put a toe in. Now I'm just like,
Uh,
I'm in it, just go
yeah,
into it,
yeah,
and there's a big difference there. Yeah,
yeah. That's lit.
yeah, man.
That's enjoyable.
Do you want to be right that you can't, or do you want to be right that you can?
What are some things that you used to do that were a 3D like, right? That later when you realize that, like, what were some things that you used to do, right? Before you transitioned into higher levels of cognition.
Yeah, bro, first thing I would say is fast food.
Oh
Like I
yeah.
just used to, yeah, like I was very, but like I remember in high school, I used to be like, my friend group was huge into like playing Counter-Strike and these games like that. So I would just like, play shoot 'em up games, like multiplayer games. We called them LAN parties. I don't even know what LAN stands for, but whatever. It's like probably something to do with the internet, right? But yeah, these internet parties where we just like fight each other on computers and we just order a bunch of food. The good thing is they would come over to my house, so it was still like a tribal leader kind of thing, but it was just like very low level, like consciousness. It's very just like shooting people you know through a video game. And I feel like a lot of people are stuck there, playing Halo, playing Call of Duty, whatever it is. It's just, it inspires you because you're like, man, I have this masculine, primal side of me that wants to go out into the world and, be of service. But the service of the military that, gives you that discipline, you're bypassing all of that and you're doing it in terms of a video game, right? Shoot 'em up, where it's just replacing all of that energy with a fake energy. And
Mm,
it's the same
mm,
thing about pornography, right? It's like,
mm.
we could be having sex and putting in the effort to like better ourselves in our sex lives, but it's like we go with that because it's the easy route, it's the easy option. So I feel that, yeah, that was kind of my mentality back in the day. I wasn't really, I was clueless about girls as well, I feel like, um,
Yeah,
back in the day before my
yeah.
spiritual journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Dude, it's good. It's cool you bring up video games because in Stephen Arniel's book, Hard Times Create Strong Men, he spoke
yeah,
about how it takes 10,000 hours to master something,
yeah,
right? That's I've certainly mastered fitness. I've put hundreds of hours since I was a kid, right? But let's take something like video games. It takes 400 hours to master it, typically, right? It could be a little bit more, it could be 500. But not even 1,000. It doesn't take 1,000 hours to master a video game,
mm,
right? So the problem with this is that you're getting all the rewards of life, the accomplishments,
yeah,
without actually accomplishing something in the real world,
yeah,
right? So it gets you stuck in this illusion, and many people, they really enjoy it. They really enjoy video games, right? But
Video
it's
games
not the
are a
real thing.
big escape. It
Mm-hmm.
is, man. That's why people play Sims and like all these simulations. It's name Sims itself. It's a simulation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's where it comes from, Sims. So like you're living this fake life online or Second Life or whatever these games, right? These MMORPGs or whatever, RuneScape, whatever you're playing, right? It's just you're creating this fake life, this version of you that you want your life to actually be like. And that's the sad part. Like I used to play this game called Habbo Hotel, right? Um, and I used to get into like text rap battles with other little members. They're like these little cartoon characters, you know. We have our each our own hotel room. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
wacky, you know. It
Club
was a
Penguin
kids
type
game.
beat.
Yeah, kind of like Club Penguin. And it was fun, you know. I learned a lot. I made a lot of friends there and stuff like that. And I went on to text battling from there. So it's a part of my journey. Like all this stuff, you know, playing Counter Strike got me more into the flow state as well. You know, video games are a flow state activity. So
Mm-hmm.
eventually, it kind of unconsciously led me to the work that I'm doing now. So I don't want to push those away and say that they were bad per se, but
Uh-huh.
they were just a different level of consciousness. You know, they were just a kid exploring the world. You know.
Yeah, totally, totally. And I think you could. There's been proof that your your ability to like quick thinking skills and like eye coordination,
Uh,
like hand eye coordination, because you got to really fucking move your hands like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, and
That
and
improves a lot.
nowadays you see these gamers on Twitch making bank. Like you can't even like me as a parent, if I were to tell my son like don't be a gamer, I can't tell him that anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, bro, it's an official job now. You can be a gamer and like make
Mm-hmm.
money, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So it's like now it's not becoming this thing like I stopped playing video games and go outside and play. Like that whole
Mm-hmm.
thing, it's like, no, I'm making bank, I'm making money.
Mm-hmm.
So if gaming is your thing, go for it. But also like, just move around. Think of it like if you were an animal in the jungle, a gorilla isn't gonna be hunched over with a little joystick like this. It's gonna be beating its chest. It's gonna be, being the leader of the
Eating leaves and
pack. It's gonna
shit.
be eating leaves, you said?
Yeah,
Eating. Okay, I was like, yeah. I guess I haven't thought about a gorilla eating leaves.
they do. That's what they mainly eat, man.
Well,
They're herbivore. They're herbivores, bro.
man. All right. Vegans one, soon zero. Okay, you got me.
Bruh.
um, yeah, you were talking a little bit about that book, Plant Paradox.
Oh yeah, my
And
parrot.
I've been reading a little bit about like how the bacteria in our stomach is so healthy, and certain bacteria can actually change your behavior. Have you heard of this?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It controls 78% of the serotonin production. Your
It's
gut.
wild, man.
That's big. That's really big.
That's so much.
And
Yeah.
I mean, your serotonin. I think you can probably explain serotonin a bit better than me.
Yeah, serotonin is a neurotransmitter. It's like dopamine or oxytocin, any of these ones. But yeah, serotonin. As far as I know, it's released from the sun. It's what you basically produce when you wake up. It's the happy chemical. Um,
Well, actually, I think you produce cortisol when you wake up.
Oh yeah, when you immediately wake up, yeah, you do produce cortisol to wake yourself up. But then when you see the sunlight, when you're awake, you start producing serotonin,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you have a lot of serotonin, actually, it can be detrimental on your sleep as well, right? Because you're too much happy, not too much
Yeah, you
happy,
know
but it's
those
like,
nights when you sleep over with your cousins and you guys are fucking
yeah,
hyped up the
yeah,
whole night. That's that serotonin, right? Now, I want to
yeah,
different. People might say, "What's the difference between serotonin and dopamine?" Dopamine is
yeah.
something you get from a donut. Serotonin is something you get from exercise, right? So I would equate serotonin with long-term happiness and dopamine with
Yeah,
short-term happiness.
short term, yeah, yeah, that's a good way to put it. Hmm.
So yeah, that's made in your gut. It depends on what you eat, right? technically, what you eat is going to affect your thoughts, right? And I mean,
Yeah.
that sounds a bit obvious, right? But it's not as obvious as your fucking your gut quite literally implanting thoughts into your mind, right? And it's quite literally like that.
Yeah. That's why we have the term like, gut instinct or, gut brain and things like that.
Exactly,
Gut
your
intelligence.
gut instinct, dude. That's
Yeah.
spot on. Like, you know, you
Yeah.
have a feeling. It's telling you something.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've also been able to, I made a video recently on mental blocks and thinking styles, like thinking patterns that are unhelpful. And one that I came across was very interesting, which is you might be feeling anxious, but it does not necessarily mean that you're being anxious, right? So what we equate in our minds sometimes is like, just because I'm feeling sad, it means that I'm being sad, right? And
Mhm.
it's not always the case. So that's kind
Mhm.
of an interesting,
That
we
is
sometimes
very.
associate like our emotional, it's called emotional reasoning, I
Mhm.
believe. Um, but I really like that because we often associate our feelings as like, yep, this is 100%, this is who I am.
Uh-huh. I
Yeah,
am my feelings.
yeah. And that's where the whole emo culture started, straight up.
The emo culture. Yeah, it seems like so. I
Like the
feel
e-boys, yeah.
that is true. A lot of times we do project our emotions through the way that we dress.
Yeah, man.
Like for me, socks used to be a big way of expressing my emotions. So
Socks.
I remember one time we were in school,
Like
man,
colorful socks or?
and just so sometimes if I'd wear black socks if I wasn't in a good mood, I'd wear fucking colorful socks if I was feeling bright,
Mm,
like literally like that.
yeah. It was like using emojis, but instead you used your
But
socks to
through
like sort of
socks,
tell
right?
people how you're feeling that day. Yeah.
It's really cool though. Now that I think about it, because it's like I'm living life off of my code, right? There's a code that I'm living,
Yeah.
right? And it's like I use it as well with my emojis, right? So if someone's a friend, I'm not gonna use a red heart with them. I'm not gonna send them red hearts, right? I might send a blue heart or a green heart, right? Maybe a yellow
Mm,
heart,
interesting.
right? But if
Yeah.
it's somebody that I like real like I real it's like if it's like a romantic partner, I'll send a red heart, right? That's just an example of my
Yeah.
code, right?
Mm,
I think that's something that Arash talks about this. Maybe he's mentioned some of this in some of the lectures you've listened to,
mm,
about following a code, right? What's the samurai
yeah.
code? We dress like this, right? We eat like this, we exercise like this, right? What's the church code?
Yeah.
Right, the church code is we go in at this time, we praise in this specific way, we burn incense this specific way. What's the police code? We dress like this, we deal with things like this. What's the
Yeah.
teacher code, right? There's codes for everything that you're trying to do. So remember, like, so this video is how to go from like basic original 3D into 5D, right? So
Yeah.
what is the code of the person that you want to become or you want to embody, the person who you like, I would love to be that person. What's their code, right? And then
Mm.
tap into it. Just do it. Literally, just
Yeah.
do the
Just start
things that they do.
implementing.
Because the fastest way to change your mind is by changing your behavior, changing your movements, changing your habits. Alrighty,
Yeah.
baby.
For real. Yeah. And also samurai like means to serve. He was saying this in the lecture that there's a story of Bodhidharma and there's a guy called Heike, right? That basically he wanted to be his disciple. So he came over and he was like trying to get his attention of Bodhidharma. And he's like, nah, I don't want to, teach you. And so he cut off his hand, right?
Mm,
To be able to show his commitment, his dedication to his master. And he was like, yes, now I accept you or whatever. And so the IMC symbol is one-handed instead of two, right?
mm.
Which I think is really powerful. you know, to show your commitment, right? Basically, that's all it's showing. It's like you're committed to this thing, you know. I
There's
think
no
it's cool.
turning back, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what commitment means. There ain't no turning back.
Yeah. And also, I love the animal imagery. Like, it's called Lion's Den, right? But he just uses, you know, we all meet around
Ads.
the watering hole, you know, and like, yeah, he uses all these examples. Like a lion's never thinking, you know, am I going to be a lion today? I wonder if, you know, that zebra is thinking about me differently than, you know, it's just doing its thing. It's just there to show up, you know. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, and the thing is, he doesn't only limit it to beings, like, you know, he also mentions like dragons or like mythical characters if you want to embody
Mhm.
that too. um you know, there's one guy in the group, they call him the tree dragon, right? And he's like a yogi and he has like this big beard, and it's a suitable image for him, you know. So
The tree
yeah,
dragon.
yeah, he looks like
Mm.
he looks like leaves. Like, I don't know, if you Google tree dragon, you could probably find there's some
Mm.
images of that. But yeah, it looks like leaves and like tree bark in the dragon itself. It's quite cool.
Mm.
Um,
Interesting.
yeah, it's like I Am Groot. You know, you remember from like the what
Hmm.
was it? What is that movie? Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah.
know what? I think that's really cool because what you think about, you embody. It doesn't matter if it's real, doesn't matter if it's not real. I'll prove it to you, right? People who have anxiety, they have anxiety about dumb shit that's not even fucking real. They're making shit up inside their own fucking mind. But you know what? They're acting like it's real, right? Because they're thinking about it. So whatever you think about, you become. Whatever you think about, you act like. So think about something amazing. Anytime you're thinking something you're not feeling good, anytime you're not feeling good, realize that you're thinking something stupid. All right? So just switch it up. All right, that's all
Yeah.
I gotta say. I think we can end the podcast there.
Yeah, yeah. No, I was just saying about anxiety. Like, anxiety is just energy bouncing around in your head. You know, so if you take action of that energy in your head and you put it through something. So if you want a prescription for anxiety, I'm not going to give you Xanax. I'm going to give you action. Take massive aligned action, and anxiety no more. All right. All
Mm.
right. Thank you for listening, guys. Have an amazing day. My light is flickering, showing us that, you know, it's time that the lights go down, and, you know, we all get into our caves as different animals, and, you know, yeah, we do our thing.
Everybody, go out there and be the best version of you.